Welcome to the Tuned In Podcast with your hosts Rachel Grundon and Nick Reeder, where we discuss all things metaphysical and topics to empower you to become the very best version of yourself. Thank you for joining us, and let us begin on your path to healing.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for being here for I think this is our fourth generation or edition of our Tuned In podcast for tonight. We have a really special person with us tonight, and I don't even know how to describe her because she's not something that can be described. She's something that has to be experienced. And then you kind of come up with your own description and how she impacts your soul through that experience. And her name is Julia Stubbe. I'm sorry. I had a feeling I was going to
say but you did better. Stubbe's so much better than Stubby. I just want you to say that.
I kept feeling like your name was pronounced Stubbe, but I just wanted to make sure with you. But I definitely had.
It's been mispronounced, so you couldn't have butchered it anymore.
Okay.
Else had it. And I don't take it personally.
I felt like there was a French accent coming through me with
Actually,
that.
I think it's more English, German. What it
okay. So thank you for being with us tonight, Julia. And I know that Nick introduced you and the thought of you and having you on this podcast to me as an amazingly interesting, out there and yet down to earth woman that he met at some convention. What was that convention, Nick?
That was the Appalachian Starseed Reunion. She was a speaker there, presenter, and then I was the one co-hosting the event there.
Perfect. There's the rest of the introduction here. Let's go ahead and hand it over to you, Nick. You're the one that introduced Julia to me. Why did you feel led to do that?
Because I knew you guys would connect with her. Her and I, we met there, and she was a guest speaker. And it was funny because I had a question in my mind of looking for guidance. And that morning, Julia was actually a presenter, and I went down and I was watching it, and she did like a channeled message, and it was, to me, it felt like it was directed right at me. It was an answer to the question that I was asking for, and she was giving a channeled message. And after that, I went up to her afterwards and I spoke with her a little bit. And then, she was busy with other people. And then I think it was later on in that day, I saw her sitting down. So her and I just sat down next to her at an open table, and we just talked for like, geez, it was probably a half hour, 45 minutes. And it was just an incredible conversation. And then just her and I connected afterwards through Facebook, and then text messaging, talking on the phone every once in a while. It's always been a pleasurable experience talking with her, and I learned so much. And I just knew you would connect very well with her, and our guest audience would connect very well with her. And I'll leave it up to her to say whatever she needs to say. Thank you, Julia, for coming on and being here with us.
Well, thank you for having me. It's going to be a lot of fun, because Nick, what I remember about us sitting at the table, we went through and these questions and this and that, and I said, so are there any other questions? And you said no, and I said, okay, I can go now.
You are the first person I talked to in a long time that was blowing my mind so bad that I was just done with the conversation because I couldn't handle it anymore. And in a good way, in a way that, like, it's been a long time since I've spoken to someone that I was just like, I can't wrap my mind around what you're saying at this point. We're too deep. And
yeah, because, well, I have a connection with Source as far as that goes. And I've been what I call on my journey to wholeness for 30 years. I'm 65. And so I came from a background that was full of abuse, addiction. And so I grew up angry. I grew up scared. And so my son was born when I was 32. And that awoken something in me that realized that I needed to really work on healing myself, because it made me remember as far as what I grew up in and what I had blocked out. So that's when I started my healing journey for myself, my journey to wholeness. I wasn't doing it for anybody else. I was just doing it because now I'm a mom. I want to change and shift my son's reality moving forward. I don't want to be a repeat. I want to break the cycle. I always wanted to break the cycle of where I grew up as far as that goes. So there's a whole lot that goes with that story. And so where I am now is I want to empower others to empower themselves to heal, because I don't heal anybody. Because I've been working on myself for so long, my connection to source is really clear. So the information that comes through is profound at times, but I get out of my own way. It's not about me. It's about whatever message source wants to give at this point, as far as that goes. So, and I've worked for the planet as far as that goes. I've kind of cut back a little bit in the last year or so because it's been really self-care with the energies, but I've always worked with the planet and communicated with the planet, and I work with multidimensional beings. And we can go anywhere with this conversation you want to go.
that was a big thing that you and I really connected on, when we've had conversations on the phone or in person, is that it was about empowering individuals for them to heal themselves and to live a better life.
Correct.
Like, to me, and your spiritual practices and your not workshops, but your practices that you teach are they're so amazing and they're so powerful. And I would really love if we could go into that a bit during this podcast.
Yeah, we can definitely talk about that.
Okay.
It's like what I found, because I do a group program once or twice a year. I've taken a little bit of a break this year, so I'll probably only do it later in the fall. But what I love about, I get a lot of repeats that come in for the class, and it's a 5-week transformation class, and it's different every single time. It has basic structure where we build your spiritual infrastructure. So what that means is we connect with your 3 levels of your higher self. We work with your light bodies, which are your Merkaba light bodies. We work with the aspects of your soul. We do a lot of clearing as far as that goes. And then depending on who signs up and what their intentions are, source, spirit, however you want to look at it, channels through me what we're going to do. So it might be childhood stuff, or it might be something else. It's always an adventure. So I get a lot of repeats. Some people have taken it like 4 or 5 times over, and they get something different out of it each and every time, as far as that goes. And I can teach that on a one-on-one basis too. The group is a lot of fun because there's a lot of energy there. Mm-hmm. And the one thing that I loved is what several of the participants said, is that I always share the tools. I always give them the tools to do what they need. And then it's just about them being aware and reminding themselves to use them. It's like, I don't want you to need me to create magic. I just want to see you create your own magic, because we all have that power inside of us to do that.
That's exactly correct. And it's creating, like you said, it's creating the mindset of people that want to continue to help themselves, because we can give all the tools and all the techniques and everything like that, but if they're not willing to help themselves, or if they like constantly need you to do it for them, like that's a very vicious cycle. Like whenever I help people, I give them a lot of information, but I always make sure that they're ready to do the work, because I don't want you looking at me. I don't want you every time you're in a bad spot to be like, oh my God, what does Nick tell me to do during here? I want you to be able to learn and process through that and be able to think and know how to react in a situation instead of looking for someone else to do it for you.
On a side note of that, it's like if somebody's having trouble and it's like text me, it's like, well, why don't you look at this piece of it? It's like, oh yeah, I could do that. Because we have what I call our power pools, which are, they're our team. They're part of our ancestral team. They're not our guides, they're our team. So they're like there to create magic and manifest, and that they're my manifesting team is what they are. And you grow into them, because it's like you start with a smaller amount so you can play and work with them. And so it's like, well, why don't you ask your power brokers to help you? And it's like, oh, I forgot. because they might remember it in certain things. So it's like, I just will just trigger their memory as far
Yeah.
as what tools they have that are available.
So that's a very good point. And like, yeah, there's nothing wrong with going back and just looking for guidance or something like that. But I really love how you get them to empower themselves. So like, yes, they may check in, but then as soon as you say something or you remind them, they're like, oh yeah, that's right. And then they go take action on it themselves. Like that's
Right.
great to do.
And also as a facilitator, I do have like clients that I have a client that just wrote me this beautiful text message. It was like 11 o'clock at night, and I've been working with her for a year. And that might seem like a long time, but she would get triggered. She had there was family issues, there was childhood issues, there's addiction issues. So we've been working all that, and she's just in such an awesome place right now. So now she'd like me to help her and facilitate and give her tools to work with her business.
That's
So,
fantastic.
so we're going to go down that to empower her there. So she has homework to do before I'm going to step into that, because she needs to figure out what she really wants her business to do and have a relationship with her business. Because you know, anybody with your business, you are not your business. You have the ability to co-create with your business, because your business is more of an energetic living being, is the way I look at it. It's filled with energy. So treat it that way, not that you're one and the same with them. And you can always make a different choice. You don't, you want to choose. For me, it's like, it's always what fills my heart. So even as with my business, it's like, I choose what's in my heart, and then I just see the magic happen, because I truly trust that the universe is going to bring that. But I also have conversations with, well, what it would, I'm a lot of the times I'm in the question, like, what would it look like if we had 6 new clients in the next 2 months? What would that look like? What would that feel like? And then I feel if that's light or heavy, and it's like, maybe I only want 5.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh my God. I feel like you're talking right to me. I feel like you're
I
like,
could be. It's like, who knows how this is showing up. It's just like,
you've said some pretty on point things from my experience since we started. I feel like you're channeling the fingerprint of the space. Like you, when in my experience of holding like channeling circles in a psychic realm for people, like I'll do groups of 10 or so, and every group is unique in its fingerprint. And I feel like whenever I step into that, yes, there are individual circumstances that are addressed for each person, but there's also these broader channeling messages that come through that is like hitting home for everyone in the space, that is a unique fingerprint in that container. And so I feel like you've said things that have hit for Nick, Michelle. I've never met Alan, but I feel like these messages that you've been speaking to since you started talking have all been like you answering questions, but also you're answering direct questions, but you're also like hitting multiple different questions at once that I've got in the back of my head. You literally just answered a question for me by what you just said.
I know, it's like, it's like, it's a heck on relationships for me, because it's like, literally, it's like,
Yeah.
if you have a question for me and you're not asking it, I'm already answering it. B, if what's coming out of your mouth doesn't match what's coming out of here, I know you're lying. and I will give you an opportunity to step up and say, well, maybe it just wasn't quite that way. But there's no in a relationship with me.
She has a tendency to do that when we talk about anything. Next thing you know, she'll just start talking. I'm like, she's answering questions that I'm asking in my head.
Yeah, it has, and actually, it's like, even when I was in corporate, that was interesting, because it's like I had to really pay attention. But when you're on the phone and you're like with an account manager, and they're going to ask you a question and you answer it before they ask it, they get a little standoffish and think you're being a smart ass. So you have to really pay attention. But I'm not in corporate anymore, so it's like, but I had to there was a learning curve there in corporate, especially on the phones. It's like, at least when they were in person, I could watch their mouth and see if they were finished talking.
So fascinating. You come from such a 3D grounded background, if I might subjectively label it. And you seem to be so like comfortable in the ether realms to me that it feels like you're in the stars.
Well, You say I'm 3D in the 3D world, but growing up, I was clairvoyant, clairsentient. My main one that I'm aware of, I was clairaudient. So I had that gift of knowing, like, when my mom was telling me the truth, when she wasn't telling me the truth. I knew when the phone was going to ring. I knew who was on the phone. I knew, like, when it wasn't safe. I left my body a lot. As that goes to stay safe, it's like, so I actually have had experience with walk-ins to keep this physical being alive. I no longer have any walk-ins in, but so, and I remember, like, I guess I was 4 or 5 going out in the front yard. We lived up on top of this hill. And I went out and I asked, well, when are you coming back for me? I think I've had enough. You know, it's like, I just want you to come back. And my mom, as far as, she knew I was gifted. I don't know exactly how, but I guess she knew, because at a very young age, she had my astrological chart done. There were lots of books on with Edgar Cayce that I studied, and all kinds of books that she was, as far as that goes. She would have me throw cards for her. She would always say it was fun for fun, but if I didn't do it, she would get really angry with me. And because I didn't know how sensitive I was to the energies, because I was also empathic, I would get these tremendous headaches. So it wasn't fun for me, but if I didn't do it, there was violence involved. So there was a time, I guess I was like 18, and she literally, like, so I took all the cards, all the magic stuff, and I went out to the burn barrel, put some nail polish remover on it, and lit it up. And then I was the bad child. Yep.
Do you feel like that was using you, abusing your?
Well, she was an addict. She was an alcoholic. She was a psychotic alcoholic. So she, you know, but that, and she was looking for any kind of answers. Okay. So, and maybe at that time it might have looked like abuse, because I've forgiven my mom since then, but she's searching for answers through me.
Right.
There's a lot of responsibility as a kid, as far as that goes. And nobody took the time, because I didn't know how to take care of myself. That's why I'm so passionate about what I call spiritual hygiene, is because it took me till I was pretty much in my 30s to learn how to take care of my energy field.
That's what was such an important interest I had with our last introduction conversation a month ago. When I met you, you really spent a lot of time, I felt, speaking to spiritual hygiene to the group of us talking with you. And that's just the way that the conversation naturally went that night, but it was something I, like, really needed to hear, because I really resonate with your personal story of childhood sensitivities and being misunderstood or undervalued or abused with it.
Oh, it's our self-esteem, it's our self-love, it's our self-worth issues, as far as that goes. And it's the programming that we're put under, as far as that goes. So it comes, we have to release those in layers, as far as it goes. So it's like, you know, and as long as you have triggers, then there's layers, and you can't like, I know that, like, when I did a lot of work with forgiving my mom and this and that, and then something showed up and I was like, oh my gosh, it's like, I have worked on that, da 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 da. I was like, just like, I had that attitude, and it was like, and so what spirit showed me, it's like the layers. It's like you pull these layers off, and it allows you to go deeper. So you can't, it's like, so all the layers that I did allowed me to go deeper, as far as that goes. And I mean, the last time I was triggered with my mom was probably 4 years ago. I mean, she's passed and she's gone, and I forgave her before she left, but 4 years it's like 4 years without a mother. Oh, actually, I don't know if it was a trigger. The other night, I do clearing before I go to bed. It's like, I go this, and I felt there was something still attached to me. And I'm like, what is that? So I cut cords, I called fractals back. I sent fractals, and it's like, I'm spinning, and I'm like, and I was clear, and I'm like, okay, what was that? And it was like midnight, and I was tired. It's like, well, I don't want to. So I got my pendulum out, because I don't use the pendulum that often, but I was like tired. And I'm like, do I know this person that is attached to me? And I got a yes. And I went, male or female, you know, is it a male? No. Is it female? Yes. And I went through this. It's like, have I seen them in the last year? No. So I started naming people. No. And then all of a sudden I got ding. is this person dead? Yes.
Mm.
Mother, you need to stop this now. So I don't know if it was a trigger. It was just that I just like my personal space between the dead and the living. And it's like, I just go. So, but it took me, I was tired. It took me a good 15 minutes to figure out who was like playing in my energy field.
I definitely need to talk to you one-on-one. It's like you're telling my story.
Aw.
Yeah, that's crazy. Wow. And I think it's hard coming from like, I come from a I don't know if I'm allowed to speak. Am I allowed to speak? I come from a background of abuse in my family. It was by my father, sexual, and it was emotional and physical. But I remember just being so sensitive to, you know, even his presence in the home. I had to be in my room at all times with the door locked, or I had to avoid him as much as possible because his energy field was so, it was like I was living in a cage my entire childhood. That's what it felt like. But when you're an empath and you're that young, you don't know. And why am I feeling all of these feelings at once, you know?
And I will say this, I have to say it so because I've had similar experience, but in a different way, because I was molested as a child. But we also are people pleasers, because we do whatever we can to please that person so that they won't hurt us, because that's our mental program. So that's a program that you're going to need to look at, that you no longer need to be that people pleaser.
Yeah, that's hard. That's hard. Boundaries is hard for me too.
Yeah, well, that's the whole thing. And it's about creating boundaries. And it's like, so one of the things that I teach is what I call it's the divine heart. And the divine heart it gives us access to what I call sacred chambers in the heart. And we have our planetary heart chakra with the chakra 4. Chakra 9 is also the galactic heart chakra. So we take a holographic copy of that, and we have chakra 10, which is the earth chakra. And and that's the cosmic heart chakra. And they all get merged, which really expands the heart. And then within that, we have different levels of chambers. But the galactic heart chakra holds the Akashic energies for this lifetime and off planet, but it also has like the chamber of beliefs. So you can really go in there, because I'm all about easy peasy lemon squeezy, and really work with your belief systems, really release it. And it's quick. It's quick, it's ease, and we do it with gentleness and ease, but you will feel your DNA and your energy shifting that quick as far as that goes. So we would, like, if you would want to do something, it's like we would probably go into your Akashic, the energy. We don't look at stories. I'm not a story person unless source shows me, but we might look at all the energies where you were abandoned, betrayed, and molested. And we would clear all the energies from past lives where you're still repeating it in this lifetime.
Wow.
Since I was a child, I've had memories of past lives, and I have a lot of memories of this particular soul that's my father was in other lives with me, but as different. But yeah, and I haven't spoken to him in 20 years, so I know it's like something that's, you know, coming up for me a lot. Like I need to like do some kind of healing around it, because I haven't spoken to him in 20 years or something.
Okay, so I'm just going to do a little something. And so whoever has like a parental figure that's been abusive as far as that goes. So we're going to activate, if it's okay with you, because I can, activate your divine heart. Is everybody ready for this?
Yep.
So let's bring our attention to your heart space. See, know, or feel your planetary heart. And we've already I've got you connected to source, and I've got you connected to the heart of Mother Earth through a beautiful toroidal field. So just envision that. Then leave your left hand placed gently on your planetary heart chakra, chakra 4, and just hold your right hand up. And we want to ask for a holographic copy of chakra 9 to start to begin to form in your right hand, and see, know, or feel the energy as that's created. And then I want you to gently pull that in underneath your other hand, so that you're touching your heart chakra directly with that right hand and pull that holographic copy in. You want to take your left hand's free and you want to lower it to the ground, as low to the ground as you can. You don't have to get, because it's like, now we're going to create a holographic copy of chakra 10, which is below your feet, which is your earth chakra. This is the cosmic heart chakra. And see, know, or feel as that begins to grow energetically. And then just pull that up over top of your right hand and pull that into your heart chakra area. And just see, know, or feel as they begin to merge, like maybe the rings of the Olympic or a soccer ball, however you envision it. And allow yourself to feel the expansion. And so I want you to think, whoever, this is for the audience too, for everybody, but I want you to think of where you've had an abusive relationship with a close relative of some sort, and just know who that person is. We're going to go into chamber 1, which is the chamber of all possibilities. And we're going to go into the galactic heart chakra. And when you go in there, use your imagination or see, know, or feel a holographic wall. And when you get in there, I just want you to put your hand on the wall. And just whatever shows up. So stay out of your monkey mind, stay out of your head. All the lifetimes that you shared with that person. Interacted, you could have had relationships, you could have just passed on the corner. And whatever number shows up, just allow it to flow into your head, into your heart. And we're just going to flood those lifetimes with divine forgiveness, divine compassion for self and others. We're going to release the energies of deceit, betrayal, abandonment, and distrust. And I want you to see, know, or feel as that number may have changed now. And again, we're going to flow with divine forgiveness, divine compassion for self and others. We're going to release any energies of abuse, victim energy, martyr energy. We're going to release any vows, contracts, hexes, curses, anything of similar origin that's locking you into that victim energy. And then you may get another number. And here we're just, again, flood with divine forgiveness, divine compassion for self and others. And we're just going to leave it at that. But I just want you to, and we're going to cut cords between the rest of these relationships and your current lifetime. And I want you to see, know, or feel as you call your fractals back. And they might look like little tiles of light. And I want you to send the fractals of that person back to them in those lifetimes and in this lifetime as well. And when you're ready, just come back into this moment of now. How's that feel, Michelle?
That does feel a lot better. Gosh,
So
like
we
a
would,
weight lifted off of me.
yeah, so on a personal, if we were working on a personal level, we would continue and see what else shows up, but that was what was guided for the masses here as far as that goes. And it was different for each one of you. Nick, you were doing yawning. Yawning means releasing for you. I remember.
I yawned twice and I got really hot.
Me too. I'm like,
Yeah,
really
I'm sitting here, I'm like half sweating.
Turn the air conditioner on.
So Rachel, you need to come back in your body, whether you want to or not.
Oh, I'm here.
No, you are not here. You may be
I was just thinking about how it was so perfect. Like, I'm amazed about all of the things that you're touching on right now. Like,
well, that's because I get out of my own way. It's like I said, it's like that connection with source just leads me down the path. It's like,
right.
and I surrender to it because I'm just facilitating, I'm not doing anything.
Right. But you're you're a very powerful vessel for healing, and it shows up however it needs to in whatever way it needs to. Yeah. And I just feel really blessed by this conversation tonight because I feel like I've needed so much of this direct, conversation with source through you. Like this is just showing up through you right now. And it's hitting so many things for me that I just feel very blessed to be listening to all of this. So thank you.
I feel blessed to be here. So it's awesome.
Yeah, thank you so much. That was amazing. Actually, I feel so much better. Like,
Yeah, that was just that little
lighter or something. It's,
yeah. So if you did if we did a session, it's like we would see. It's like
I'm definitely gonna see you.
It's like I always call it like the rabbit hole.
I
don't know where we're gonna go, but wherever we
Yeah.
go, divinely perfect as far as that goes. So we going to where you were 5 years old, as far as that goes, and things like that. So it's like it's an interesting, because like I said, I have when I start a session, it's like I just set the space, and it's like I get out of my way, and I have no idea what's going to show up and how it's going to show up.
It's interesting because I just happened to be looking for a new therapist, like a trauma therapist, and I happened to just be calling around yesterday, and then this comes up. So okay, well, because I always feel like it takes me a while to get to know my therapist, and sometimes they leave, or something happens with insurance or whatever. But I think it's very important that I stay in therapy, even though it's hard to find spiritual people that believe the same things as I do. That you see like the Christian based therapists and things like that, but yeah, this is really interesting. I definitely want to take you up on this.
It just feels so divinely timed.
I know.
And I
just happened to see that you were doing the podcast today. I didn't realize it.
And I kind of know your story a little bit, Shell, what you're going through. And I know that the things that she's saying right now are like so exactly what you need to hear right now too. And have that was such a beautiful meditation and hit home for me in really important ways right now, personally. And I just think it's like she said earlier, like magic, like she basically lives on this level of awareness of magic 24/7. Yeah. And look what happens because she exists in that freaking realm all the time. She literally shows up in miraculous ways whenever she shows up, right? So she's just constantly bringing miracles everywhere she goes. So it's I'm talking about you, Julia. Sorry.
I was getting that. I was getting a little.
Yeah, you're so cool. I promise I'm not patronizing you. This is just
I know. It's like I get it because people don't know how to. It's like even when people say, well, even the clients say, well, what does she do? They don't know how to they don't know how to explain it, and I don't know how to necessarily put it in 3D terms as far as that.
Yeah, there is no 3. It's just you're like a tesseract. I'm seeing that you're like a tesseract. You're like this room that just can be anything that you need to be in manifested ways.
So that reminds me of a fun story. So Doctor Who, what does he have? He has that telephone booth. What's that called? Doctor Who?
I don't know who that is.
Doctor Who.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
What is it? It's where you go in, it's really small on the outside and you go in and it's huge.
It's like what is it called? I can't remember.
Anybody know?
Are you talking from the Marvel conflict?
No.
Or is it from something else?
I got it. I think it starts with a T. I got to Google it because my brain's.
Yeah, go ahead. I do that same thing. I love your hair color.
Bad. I'll remember it afterwards.
I think it's the TARDIS. Da, 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 da. Let's see, TARDIS. Let's see what they say. It's a TARDIS, TARDIS. Yes.
Oh, okay.
So if you ever watch Doctor Who, because I'm a big science fiction person, imagine that. Doctor Strange, I like Doctor Strange too.
I was gonna say
when I was watching Doctor Strange, it's like I was getting all these downloads and activations, and I was like, yeah, I can do that. And I was like, and we can do this, and I was like, yeah, I've done that. And it's so yeah, I get hung up in those science fiction movies because they're not fiction.
Definitely not.
But the TARDIS looks like a phone booth, and then you go in and it's just huge. So it's like I would have my own TARDIS and go around through the galaxy sometimes and just visit when I was traveling 5D.
Sounds like fun. Take me with you next time.
It's a little out there, but it's like I enjoy it.
I'm sure. Do
So,
you do a lot of astral traveling?
well, actually, I do a lot less than I used to. I started astral traveling probably in my mid 30s, and it's like I actually panicked when I first started doing it because I couldn't like talk. I couldn't like, I was like leaving my body and I could see.
Careless, yeah. That's what it
And
was
it was like that. I was like, oh my gosh. And then eventually I just said, okay, I got to embrace this because this is something new. So I would start doing somersaults in the room.
Oh,
And then so I was playing with it. Then I would go downstairs and walk through the house. I'm like, oh, okay. And then I realized I could go through walls. And then I began to fly. And then I'd be able to go underwater because it's like the first time I went underwater, I thought I was going to die because it's like, oh, I can't, but I could breathe. And I've been to different galaxies since. And then probably I would say 15 years ago. So probably like in my late 40s, I got the message that I had to really stop astral traveling because I needed to be fully grounded to be able to hold the energies of the planet as far as that goes. So it's like they clip my wings. I've been able to, it's like I can go on journeys as far as that goes. That's a completely different thing. I have like in the last 18 months, year and a half, I've been doing a few things, and I actually went into my contracts and I've made agreements that I can do astral travel again, but they have these we have like the agreement is like complicated to me and I'm not really sure I like it yet. So I haven't really taken advantage of it. Is that they have these places that they want me to go, but they want me to document it and write it out. And I just don't like doing that stuff. That's like, but it's useful to the 3D people. So I guess there's going to be a place for it, but I just haven't really embraced that part. So it's like, I just do my journeying where I just consciously, I'm like in a state and I consciously go to the different planets and stuff, as opposed to the astral travel where I leave my body.
Interesting. I feel like I've been astral traveling a lot lately, and I feel very ungrounded. It's funny you said that, but I don't know how to stop. I can just ask them to stop.
Yeah, but you want to ask your team. And one of the things that might help you, Michelle, that helped me, because when I was coming back in my body, I wasn't coming back fully, so my hands would end up being numb. So what I have before I go to bed, because even if I'm not necessarily consciously astral traveling, I know I'm traveling, is that I come back whole and my whole body comes back at one time before I wake up. So I call it returning to my body whole. And I run that program like before I go to bed. As far as that,
it was always an angel that took me. Like an angel would pull me out with their wings. Like that happened several times that I've actually seen it, but I haven't actually, like, I felt my body leaving. It's like a static, a really loud static noise, and it kind of like pulls me back. But I always felt like I saw angels around me whenever it happened.
Maybe that's how your protection team shows up.
Is that my protection, just a particular way?
It feels that way. If we get together, it's like we would want to check to see what the vibration is and make sure there's no illusion there, so there's no tricksters in there screwing with you.
Right.
Because the veil's really thin, and so
that's scary.
There's so much illusion. Is a lot of people are channeling stuff they don't even know what they're channeling, because they think it's something good and a high vibration, and they're just so excited to channel that they don't use the discernment to recognize what it actually is. My team is more galactic, because it's like I come from, my original soul was created beyond this galaxy, way, way, way beyond. But I've spent many lifetimes in this galaxy, Atlantean times. It's like sometimes I'm so old, and I just but it's like, it's hard to really surprise me, because I really truly believe everything and anything is possible. But I also do know that not all galactic beings are benevolent as far as that goes. We want to believe that. We want to be programmed as far as these Earth humans that it's true, but it's not.
Yeah. That we noticed that at Lux, remember, Rachel? Remember
Oh
when
my
we had to
gosh.
shut down the place because that person came
weird-
in? Was it a shaman that was
Yes,
supposed
that's
to be?
exactly who came to mind when you said that.
Yeah, I knew you were thinking that because it was crazy.
Julia, we had 10, it was like 10 years ago almost. It was 2015 that I opened a wellness center in Camp Hill, a local town around here. And Shell was one of my original independent contractors, and she was a Reiki specialist, right? Is what you were doing?
Yeah, and I did candles, but yeah.
That's
basically.
right. Yeah, she made
Yeah.
beautiful soy candles back
Yeah.
then. And so she was really involved with a lot of our growth there. And then this very odd experience happened. It was a huge learning lesson for me in discernment, like you just mentioned, about just trusting everyone, like just thinking that everyone has good intentions in this work. And this guy completely like just took advantage of so many people's souls and energy there in the name of a healer, and he did so much black work on them, or dark work, for a self agenda that was like incredibly traumatizing for those that went through it. Like our trust was shattered in this type of like trusting those that come as healers to just be what they're saying they are. And like you said, that was like still something that feels like relevant for me today. And it's interesting that you were just bringing that up, that it's like there's something that feels stuck for me in that moment of like, wow, that's like when my trust was shattered. And
Yeah,
it
so
still
what
like
I want you to do,
lingers.
so what
Yeah.
Rachel, Michelle, I want you to do is I just want you to
It was intense.
put all cords of attachment between him and you
Mm-hmm.
now. And then Michelle, you also, because you were still part of that.
Yes.
Yeah.
I want you
I
to
need to probably.
call your fractals back from him and send his fractals back, return. And release any vows, contracts, hexes, curses, promises, anything of similar origin, seen or unseen. Whether it was just like, okay, it could have been a contract where you just said, okay, and agreed to it, not even knowing what it was. So we want to release all that now. And we want to release any ties any contracts that he connected you not knowing to the dark.
Mhm.
So he created agreements for you. So any agreements that he created for you without your knowledge.
Beautiful.
And that should get you through a little bit of it there.
Wow. Thank you.
Yeah.
I felt my like my whole face like realigning, like my head. Your words were like doing something that was like affecting like ailments I've been feeling in my like skull area from like literal like head traumas and stuff since has happened with that. It's like my head had been like like I've had 3 concussions since that guy.
What
And
happened with was that spider bite to do with that
oh
too?
yeah, I don't know, maybe I was bit 1 month. No, I think it was before him, but it was right before him. I had at 1 month I was bit 3 times by a spider, 3 different times, 3 different spiders. And the one of them was a brown recluse or wolf spider. It was something that was necrotic. It like made the skin necrotic. And it was a huge like wound that I had to recover from for like a month. Oh, and that's when I met him at the tail end of that healing process around that spider bite.
Remember when Whoopi, me, and you all broke our foot?
Oh my God, yes, our right feet. We all broke our right
all of
foot.
them in the same week.
And he yeah, there was all sorts of weird stuff.
Something was going on. I was like,
thank you so much, Julia.
We needed to get rid of that.
So anytime somebody says, well, you've got to wear this crown and you can't take it off, or you got to put this shield in your heart and you can't take it off, it's like, no, you have to say no.
Yeah.
It's like, because what it is they're putting something of them on you and you're giving your power to them. It's that simple.
Yes, that's so powerfully said. Thank you for that.
So Julia, I have a question.
I might have an answer.
I know, or answer the best that you can. So how would you best describe fractals to anyone who doesn't know of them?
Well, fractals are little pieces of you. So it's like, let's say you gave pieces of your heart when you fell in love, or you had, or actually you had a passionate fight or anger. Anytime you're giving anger, stuff is spewing out of you, and somebody else is receiving that. So anytime somebody receives energies from you, whether it's high vibrational or low vibrational, and any time that somebody spews stuff at you, and it doesn't necessarily it has to be in an anger form, it can be in any form. You're taking on their energy, you're taking on their fractals, their pieces of them.
Okay.
We always want to return because we want everybody to be whole. So we want to return their fractals to them, regardless of whether they're, without judgment of whether they're bad or good or who cares, and call yours back. Who cares? Because you just need to have that wholeness. And if it's something that still needs to heal with those fractals, that's fine too. But at least it's all you.
Okay.
I got you. It's kind of like walking through the woods and picking up random rocks and sticks and just keeping them in your pocket the whole time, weighing you down. And then eventually you take them out of your pocket, you give them back to the earth or whatever, and it lightens up your load. And then it's just you left there. It's
So
kind of
like it is, that goes. That's for when you hold other people's fractals. But let's say somebody came and took your sneakers.
That happened to me at the skating ring once. I'm so mad. Brand
But
new.
say they took pieces of you, or like cut off your thumb, or it's like, if to be a physical, that would be something, a piece of you they took. So it could be, that's physical, but there's the emotional pieces that people take from us on a daily basis.
Okay. And I know you talk about like you have many practices for basically shielding and grounding your own energy. Is there any that you could take us through?
Yeah. So this is what I do when I have a shield, and I have lots of shields because I like to play. So I think this is a game of Earth. So we're in a video game. So it's like we have all that stash, and in different levels, then we get different stash, and we have to figure out what's in the stash. So I always start out with, well, what would be useful here? So like, just say that you just want to go in a place and you just don't want to even have any energy on you at all. Well, let's be a Teflon. I'll be Teflon. Teflon, things just slide right off Teflon. So I'll have a Teflon shield. Or I have issues with attracting. I'm really shielded well, but and I'm not trying to say this. How do I want to say this without creating any kind of fear? So there's a lot of nano and energetic AI out there. Okay. And we're all affected by it as far as that goes. And those of us in this higher vibration, it's like we have a contract out on our vibrational pattern and our vibrational frequency as far as that goes, because they want to disable us as far as that goes. So for those of you who this resonates with, this is what I created. And I have to tell you, because I was so excited. So I have a friend, and we decided we saw this stealth nano coming in at night, and it's like it was getting through my other shields. I'm like, what is possible here? So I created what I call the nano zapper shield. And then you could see it. So I called my friend because she can see stuff. And I said, I need you to look at something. She goes, you sound a little bossy. I said, well, yeah, I need you to look out around my house and tell me what you see. She goes, it's a giant zapper. Yes, I got it. So, and it tweaked. I had to tweak it over some time. So it's like I had to like raise the vibration. I had to make sure that it circled above and below the house. And so I check on it every couple of days to see if like it's been infiltrated by the computer system, where you get viruses and it turns off. But then it's like, so then I made it like camouflaged, invisible, so that nano couldn't see it coming, and they'd like, without knowing that they were hitting it.
Yeah, so we have about 10 to 15 minutes left. Is there anything in particular that you would like to talk about, or anything you feel guided to say or practice?
I'd like to do a process that I use for empaths that I actually learned taking a course from Cindy Dale last year, and I love it. And she works with chakras. So she's like incredible. She has a lot of books, CYNDIDALE. So if you want to like go down the chakra route. So we're going to come into the back of the third chakra. Your solar plexus is where you hold the energies of everybody else. You have an inner wheel, which is where your divine spark is. Your outer wheel is where your experiences are. So you're collecting as an empath all that plaque, so to speak. So it's like, so we're going to come in through the back, because the back is where your knowledge is. It's where your history is. And we're going to bring in the virtue of clarity into that inner wheel. So see, know, or feel as clarity comes in, and we're going to call in these absolute scalar waves of light, pure light, ribbons of grace, stirring and mixing in that inner wheel for you to be able to discern what's yours consciously, subconsciously, and unconsciously. So you can discern what's yours on all levels. It's going out to the outer wheel where your experiences are. We're going to now bring in detachment to detach anything that's not yours, because you have the discernment. We're going to bring clearing and cleansing. It's going to clear and cleanse anything that's not yours. And those beautiful scalar waves of light are stirring and mixing it all up. It's in the inner wheel, the outer wheel. And now we're just going to bring in transformation to transmute anything that can't be cleared, cleansed. And I just want you to see, know, or feel as you push it out the front of your solar plexus and release everything that is not yours. So it's like brushing your teeth. I do this 3 times a day because I'm high level, and it's like, and that's what Cindy Dale recommends, is do it 3 times a day. It's like if you brush your teeth at least twice a day, because if you don't brush your teeth, all this plaque builds up and it gets kind of gross and disgusting. It's the same way with your solar plexus with other people's energies. So, and you've literally, it's like, it can happen. It's like, you're just doing it. You just visualize it and it's like, it's done. So it can happen I think we did that in less than a minute.
It happens real quick. And I definitely tell I could purge, like my body, for whatever reason, when it starts purging things, like I have like thoughts in my head or like things that I'm overcoming, like I feel the energy from my head. Like when I come over something, I'm like, oh, I should do it that way. Like I feel the energy go down into my solar plexus, and then I burp like all the time, like. And like all of a sudden, I'll just be sitting there. All of a sudden, like I'll just keep burping. I'm like, "Holy crap!" Like you just feel it.
Yeah, and just so you know, we release in different ways. You should actually feel fortunate for burping.
Yeah, you and I have had that discussion before.
Just letting you know.
Yeah.
So, do you have any other questions? Because it's like I feel like that was. It's like.
Yeah. Oh, that was so beautiful. Thank you, Julia.
Yeah, and thanks Cindy Dale for that, because that's just a process that, because I could never really get that fully clear, because it's like I was still clear and everything, but that like made a difference for me as far as that goes. So it's like, but I want to give her credit, because if I wouldn't have taken her class, I wouldn't have learned that.
Right.
It's just changed the way that I hold energy in my body as far as that goes. So it's like, I'm always learning too. So it's like, that's the way I look at it.
That's super helpful. Thank you so much.
Yeah, we really appreciate it. Thank you.
Everybody
needed this.
No, right?
I'm ready to go to sleep now.
Everybody wants to go to sleep now, and I'm all wound up. This is why I don't do things after 7 o'clock at night.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's
Thank you
okay.
so much.
That's okay. It's awesome. And as far as that goes, and drink lots of water, everybody, because it's like we did have a lot of releases, whether, it was intentional for you, but everybody participated. So you want to drink lots of water. You want to honor your body, because you may be tired after listening to this, whether you're listening to the replay or you're here, live, it's still going to have the same energetic effect, because there is no time or space, and it's magic.
I feel a lot more peaceful and grounded. Absolutely.
I have one question, if you don't mind. Kundalini yoga has been coming up a lot for me. Like, I feel like I need to get back into it. I used to do it a lot. Do you have any views on that, on Kundalini, the energy and all?
Well, there's 3 different kinds of Kundalini. there's the red, which is the serpent, which rises. There's the radiant Kundalini, which you can use to work with your chakras. And there's the golden Kundalini. I work with the golden Kundalini. The golden Kundalini comes down through source, through chakra 9, and it has all the keys and codes that allow your body to heal. And it's like a honey nectar. So it's very slow moving and it goes through your body. I work with that. I personally have enough energy running through me that I do not invite the red Kundalini into my body. I run fire energy all the time, so I probably am running it, but it's like I don't like, it's not something like, oh, I'm going to go play with the red today. No, that's just not for me, because I literally, when I come out of stuff, it's like I could be completely soaking wet because I've run fire energy already. And I just can't imagine what that would do to my physical body. My physical body actually struggles here on this planet.
Mhm.
And so I've got to really be conscious of the choices that I make and the energies that I play with or explore, however you want it, because it's like I have access to all of it, but it doesn't mean I have to like eat the whole buffet.
Yeah.
My God, that was such a helpful piece right there.
Yeah, I needed to hear that.
And I never heard about the golden Kundalini before. I'm gonna vibe with that one because I feel like I'm constantly on the red.
I think I have on my YouTube channel, which has a lot of different processes. One of the lives I did had golden Kundalini, so I can send you the link, Rachel and Nick, and then you can pass it around if you.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
Because it's a beautiful process, and I do want to say, because it's like I want to plug my channel, because
Yes,
it's Julia Stubbe, the Galactic Channel. Please subscribe. I'm always looking for new subscribers. But once a month, the 12th of each month, I do a live intuitive healing session, and I never really know what's going to show up. So this last Monday, sometimes I get an idea, they'll show me something the day before, but this was like Monday morning, and it said, we want you to activate their Merkaba. Like, and oh, we'll let you know later today. Oh, okay. So it's like, it just showed up. It's like we activated the Merkaba, then we activated the Divine Heart, and then we opened the receptivity of spirituality and the intuitive gifts and went through that. So it was like, whoa. So it's different each month, but there are some really easy to follow processes like grounding, clearing, and shielding, cutting cords, ancestral healing. There's also light language transmission. So there's something there for everybody, and it's free. It's free because I want to empower you to empower yourself. And I'm finally, because 3 years ago, I was challenged in my video making skills. And so the first couple videos have audio issues and stuff like that. So I actually just released, I guess 2 days ago, what I call grounding, clearing, and shielding version 2, where you can actually hear me speaking on when you have the phone. You could hear it on the computer, but you could hardly hear it on the phone. Mm-hmm. So I've got a couple more that are going to be released over the next couple of weeks, cutting cords and calling back the fractals. And there's some updated stuff within those. So check it out and leave comments and share, and because it's just so useful. And don't be afraid to go to a one that you're called 2 years ago, because the energy is just as potent as it is then, as it is, it's now as it is then, was then.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you, Julia. So where I know you said about your YouTube channel, but where else can people find you or to book appointments with you?
Okay, well, I have a website, and that's pretty easy, juliastubbe.com. JuliaStubbe.com, as far as that goes. And, it's so, yeah. So there's that. And, it's like, I try to put little things out on Facebook as far as other things go, just like when I get a message, it's like, I share it. I try to share it with everybody else because otherwise they won't shut up if I don't. Julia, you need to go post this now. It's 2:00 in the morning. Please wait, just do it now. Okay, then will you let me sleep? It's like, okay.
All right, does anyone else have any questions, Rachel or Michelle or anyone else?
I don't. Thank you again.
Yes, this was awesome. I had a magical time. And feel free, like if you've for anybody that has a question or like needs a link or something like that, you can message me through Facebook. And I believe Rachel has all these amazing, all my links are down there somewhere. So you can find me through the links there and go. And
keep pushing you too. Thank you. I'll be exploring you further too. Maybe we'll be working together.
well, whatever resonates for you and however it works for you, because I don't have attachment to like that. It's like, to me, it's like you choose whatever you choose, and I'll still love you regardless.
Right. Beautiful. I appreciate that. I feel the same. Thank you, everyone, for being here.
Thank you. This was amazing. Thank you.
All right. Thanks for watching.
All right. Thank you, Julia.
All right. Bye.
Bye-bye.
All right. See you.
It had been well understood by the scientists and